Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So here we are at the first video review of this new channel in English because I'm not doing the Romanian thing anymore, at least not for now, at least not for the foreseeable future. In any case, I thought that we should start off with an album that I've been listening quite a lot for the last year, starting with 2019, a period in which I went through great discovery of kick-ass heavy metal bands and speed metal bands that I didn't even know they existed. But fortunately, YouTube is not only bad at many things, it's also pretty good at certain things. It was really good at recommending one of these bands, and of course we're talking about Enforcer from Sweden and their second album, Diamonds, which was released in 2010 and which I consider to be, in my humble opinion, probably the strongest album of their career so far. Okay, so a few words about Enforcer before we move on to the music. These guys actually formed in 2004. It was a band that was founded by Olof Wikstrand, the main singer of the band, and also he plays guitar in Enforcer. But on this album in particular, he was just the singer of the band, and I can say he did a fantastic job. He's also a pretty good guitarist, I can tell as well by the other releases in which he's featured there on the 6-string instrument. But I think he mostly shines as the main singer of the band, and you'll see why immediately if you listen to the album. In any case, it was an interesting time for Enforcer. I actually saw a few interviews with Olof, and he said that they were not that popular in the nation of Sweden, but they did start to get a small following on the internet, on MySpace and other like old school social media platforms on which they were promoting themselves. And they started getting like a global following here and there, and eventually it came to pass that their second album had to be released, and it was this one called Diamonds. Now, when we're looking at the album cover, we can see that there are a lot of references to probably Jay-Z putting his diamonds up. But regardless, it's just a simple photo of the band with this really bright coloring. Has a very retro feel to it, as you can figure it out by yourself. And this entire retro feel can be very easily felt on the entirety of the album when coming to composition, to lyrical interpretation, which is actually very similar to what Judas Priest may have been singing back in the day in the 1980s. A lot of stuff about partying, heavy metal, having a good time. And there are also some references there to Japanese culture with the song that we're hearing right now, Katana. So the aesthetics are mired in this nostalgia related to the glory days of heavy metal in the 1980s. But the production is actually very precise and very modern, but it still retains some of that retro feel. The instruments have a very natural quality to them. They shy away from the entire loudness type of production that was actually very popular in the 2010, 10 years ago. And I think this actually worked to their advantage because they managed to capture that unique old sound of the 80s, but with a more precise and high fidelity twist to it. Now, moving on, related to the actual compositions and the riffs, I can see that the riffs and the songwriting on this album is absolutely fantastic. You actually have straight up rockers, you have more epic songs like Katana that I mentioned earlier. You have songs that have a more rock and roll feel, like Running in Madness or Walk With Me. And of course, it's a really nice mix of speed metal, heavy metal, and even some of the blues chops that you may have heard from like the 70s heavy metal bands like Black Sabbath, which is also quite interesting that these guys are not that mired in just a one particular cliche of the genre, but they're drawing from so many influences and they're creating this unique sound. The album is actually not that long, it's around 40 something minutes, and I can say that I have listened to it for probably 20 or 25 times, and I'm still listening to it right now, and it has a lot of replay value. The drums are pounding, the solos are electrifying, the riffs are very catchy, and Olof as a singer is absolutely fantastic. He sings in such a high-pitched voice, and he's like wailing like a fucking banshee, and I absolutely love it. And what I love about this album in general is that Enforcer and Diamonds in particular introduced me to this entire new world of speed and heavy metal that has been released starting with the 2010s and up until this day. Other bands like Skullfist, Stallion, Speed Queen, Cauldron, all these kick-ass bands that actually are really freaking good, but they're not that popular by modern metal standards or general music standards. In any case, from my opinion, this is a great album. My favorite songs are probably Walk With Me and Katana. I also like the more like speed metal rockers as well, such as the opening songs called Midnight Vice. But the epic songs are actually the ones that I think in which the band really excels in what they're doing. Oh, also another interesting part of a bit of trivia. On this album you can also hear guitarist Adam Zars on the 6 strings, and what's interesting is that he left the band because he had another interesting side project, which you may probably hear a bit more on this album, called Tribulation. Ooh, imagine that. In any case, thank you very much for following me and subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so by now, and new reviews are gonna come right soon.